and welcome to the True North Show. I'm your host, Megan North, and I'd firstly like to thank the sponsors of this show, Quantum Awakening, Beth Lewis, Anne C. Clark, and our lovely guest who paid to be featured on this episode. Today, I am joined by a man who I admire greatly, and I've only met him on one occasion. Lawyer Johnson is a transformational speaker, author, entrepreneur, and community advocate whose life's work is turning pain into purpose. Born into adversity and shaped by childhood sexual abuse, emotional silence, and systemic barriers, Lawyer spent years internalizing pain without the language or tools to process it. That unresolved trauma contributed to destructive choices that led to incarceration in early adulthood, where he began the deeper inner work that would ultimately change the trajectory of his life. Through mentorship, education, and spiritual growth, he learned to name his wounds, accept accountability, and refuse to let his past define his future. With a renewed sense of purpose and responsibility when released in 1998, Lawyer built multiple successful businesses, and his entrepreneurship journey reinforcing one of his core messages: there are no deadlines on dreams. Love that. Lawyer is the author of the memoir, My Pain is My Identity, a raw account of trauma, incarceration, faith, and redemption that resonates with survivors of abuse. As a speaker, he is known for emotionally grounded storytelling and practical tools that equip audiences to pursue healing, emotional discipline, leadership, and faith-centered resilience. He's the founder of Motivational Wings, a mentoring initiative for youth and adults affected by trauma and incarceration, and is the host of the Lawyer Johnson Talk radio show, where he amplifies conversations on healing, mental health, faith, and responsibility. At the heart of his work is a simple conviction: your past explains you, but it does not define you. Welcome to the show, Lawyer. I'm really looking forward to our conversation today.
Thank you for having me on, Megan.
You're
Appreciate
very
it.
welcome. How does it feel when I read out all of these amazing things that you've done through your life?
It feels amazing. I could say that, because it's like I'm going back in time from the beginning of all my pain to where I'm at now. So to hear someone say all these nice things about me, it's a good feeling. The accolades are good.
Yeah, good. And I love to always hear. It's quite funny because we often I don't think we often reflect enough on where we've come from. I think often as humans, and particularly when we're very driven, we're always looking at what's next. What do I want to do next? What do I want to achieve? What impact do I want to have? But we sometimes forget to reflect on actually what I've done even just in the last 12 months, not let alone the 5 years or 10 years. So I actually really enjoy seeing the reaction of my guests when I'm reading out the bio, because you can see them going, oh, that's what I've done. So let's dive in. So I suspect there was probably a lot of defining moments for you, but what was the defining moment that led you to pursue your true passion and purpose, like what you're doing now?
I know that I had to finally stop running from my past and decide to face it head on. And when I got incarcerated, it forced me to do those things, like stop running from your past. And I was in a situation where I couldn't run anymore.
Yeah.
All the pain that I was feeling inside, and how I could release that pain into other things, I couldn't do it anymore. I was confined, and I had to, really dig in within myself and find a better way to deal with what all the anger that was built up inside me. So I had to stop running and face the trauma. Yep.
And was it something like, was it a program when you were incarcerated, or was it something that someone said to you that you thought, okay, now I need to make a change?
the defining moment for me where I knew that I had to make a change is, as I was telling you my story when I was incarcerated, before I got incarcerated, and I was facing a whole bunch of time. I ended up breaking out of jail. It's like something out of a movie. I broke out of jail and I stayed on the run for like approximately 3.5 years. So after they finally caught up with me, I broke out of jail in North Carolina. And when they finally caught up with me, I was in Phoenix, Arizona. And when they brought me back to North Carolina, you got to look at the time span. That's like 3 years being on the run, 3 years without seeing my immediate family. And the
Mm,
defining moment for me that made me stop running and look into the mirror is like when my mother came to visit me for the very first time in three
mm,
and plus years.
yeah.
And my mother and I are so close. I'm her only son. I'm the youngest child out of all her three kids, and she couldn't look me in my eyes at the in the visitation room. She would just like stare away from me, and it was just so much hurt and pain in her eyes. And at that time, like one of my close friends brought her up there to see me, as well as my sister, my older sister, up there to see me in the visitation room. And I had to ask them to leave so I can have one-on-one time with my mother. And I'm looking in her eyes, and she wouldn't look at me. And I
Mm,
had to I had to tell her like everything is all right. I know you have all these things going on in your mind, and you're thinking something is happening to me. I said nothing is happening to me.
mm,
And the pain from seeing the hurt in her eyes and the hurt in her face made me reflect, like really reflect within inside of me
yeah.
of what I was gonna do when I come home. And when
Mm,
I went back to my dorm room, I promised myself I'd never put my mother through any
mm,
hurt like that ever again. And I was gonna change my ways, and whatever trauma I was going through, I was gonna face them and try to find better way on how to deal with. So that was a defining moment for me. That like
wow.
I'm done. Like
Yeah.
seeing my mother hurt like that,
Yeah.
that's like I'm done. I have to make a change.
Yeah, yeah, and in a way, I guess, I mean, at the time, it would have been terribly hurtful for you. But if she hadn't reacted like that, maybe your response might have been different. So,
Yeah,
you sort
definitely.
of we always think about these things of, oh, if that hadn't happened or if that had happened, if she had been really loving and I'm forgiving you, and it doesn't matter, what you do, you may have not taken as much responsibility.
Yes.
Whereas, yeah, seeing that with her, that's really a really. I'm hoping now that you can reflect on that as a beautiful moment in your
Oh
life.
yeah. Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. And I think that it also comes to a point, doesn't it, where we think, I don't want to hold on to the story anymore. Like, I want to work through the story, heal the story, and for it not to. There's no benefit to me holding on to it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
It's really beautiful. Wow. And so that was the defining moment, and then you started to, once you were released, and you had this renewed sense of, right, what can I do? So you started building businesses, and you really got into the business side of things.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, I really got into the business side of things. That was like, I think, like that's probably like, I want to say like 25 years later after
Right.
I got into the business side of things. But
Yep.
I was just blessed. That change of me seeing my mother, um, confront my trauma, not running anymore,
Mm,
that made me sit still and say, okay, I need to do something to prepare myself when I get on the outside, because I just can't go out there the same way I came in
yep.
with nothing. I had to come back out with something so I can cling on to it and develop myself to become better and a more functional individual out in society. So what I did when I was locked up, I partaked in programs that was going to help me. So that's why I got my electrical wiring certificate. That was in prison. I got my electrical wiring certificate. I took up human relation class so I could kind of understand people and how to deal with people. I took up classes on how to do interviews. So when I came home, um, I went through temp services.
Mm,
At the temp service, And most of the temp service were always like, can't give you this job because you have a felony.
Mm-hmm.
But then I looked up and I got this job at a company. It's a Fortune 500 company, and the owner at the time, may he rest in peace, he passed away. Now both of the owners passed away, but he was the one that gave me an opportunity. I started out this company as a temp, but I worked so hard that they're like, man, we gotta bring you on full time. And during that course of the 2 years working for that company, I got to the point where I wanted to tell the owner about my background, and
Mm-hmm.
he stopped me in my tracks. He like, listen, I don't care about your background. Really don't care. Only thing I care about you. Only thing I care about is you showing up everyone. He was very adamant about it too. He's like, all that I care is about you showing up every day and giving it all you have within you. That's all I care about. And
Yeah.
that right there just put me on that straight path.
Yeah.
And I ended up working for that company for 18 years. And I
Wow.
retired from that company. And I'm telling you, that guy became my mentor,
Yeah.
and like one of the greatest, um I want to say one of the greatest moments that I received for him. And he just told me out of this nowhere, he said, I am so proud of the man that you have become. And that broke my heart when he told me that. I was like, man, I have really changed.
Yeah.
And this company, when I tell you, they paid for all my education to go all around the country to get all my certifications. And I end up being blessed with a beautiful mentor who was a master electrician. And this guy taught me everything. He wouldn't let me cut corners. When it came for me to bend electrical conduit, if he saw that was wrong, he'll tear it all back down to make me do it the right way.
Mm-hmm.
He made sure I was equipped and that I was my mind was mentally callous to handle the pressure that the world was going to throw on me.
Yeah.
And he told me, he's like, Lawyer, if you come work for me, he said, I guarantee you I'll teach you everything I know, but you have to commit that you're going to work with me 100%.
Mm.
And he said, even if you don't decide to stay with me, he said you will have enough certificates to carry on with you into your next, endeavors in life.
Yeah.
And I did. And I
Mm.
when I retired from that company 18 years, that's when the entrepreneurship came in. I took all the certificates they gave me. I rolled that into a contracted company. I became a general contractor. I started, doing remodeling homes. And the
Wow.
first job that I ended up getting, which was a blessing, was for $30,000. I remodeled a whole townhouse by myself, and from that $30,000, another job came to me to remodel convert a monastery school into a pet daycare. That was a $200,000 job. And then the blessings just kept pouring on and pouring on, pouring on. So when I do my reflection, all those blessings come from me.
Mm.
Look at my mother in the eye, telling her I was not going to do this anymore. Me
Yeah.
committing to going to school, and then me getting that certificate. Me preparing myself, going to human resources classes.
Yeah.
Me preparing myself to know how to do an interview. Me getting out in this world, taking whatever I could get, but not giving up, going to this temp service, end up getting a temporary job at, a Fortune 500 company, and the owner giving me the opportunity to work for him. And then at the same time telling me how proud of he was of me, being a good man. And
Mm.
that's what just elevated me to the next level and made me feel that I can do anything, because if this guy endorsed me, that meant the world to me, because
Yeah.
this guy gave me my opportunity to work for his company. He didn't judge me because of my past.
Yeah.
He judged me for my character. So
Yeah.
that's the whole full story of the entrepreneurship.
Wow. That's incredible. And I love
Yeah.
that he had, I mean, we often we call it, because I worked in human resources for a very long time
Yes, yes,
in my
yes.
career, and we call it unconscious bias. So, and that's for him, that's probably why he didn't want to know your background,
Yeah,
because unconsciously then you have a bias towards
yeah,
someone. So
yeah,
with
yeah.
him saying, oh, there's a line in the sand, I don't want to know, because he didn't, yeah, I love that. Like, what an incredible man. That's
Hmm.
just, and Lawyer, I also want to say, like, I love everything that you've spoken about then, because every single thing came from you taking action.
Mm-hmm.
You doing the next thing and the next thing. You're not sitting there saying, well, I've done all of this now, it should come to me. No, you've got to continue to take that action, don't you?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Wow. Incredible. Really incredible. And so I mean, gosh, there's a lot for us to talk about, but
no,
how do you,
just talk freely, Megan. I think
yeah,
it's
yeah,
good when we talk freely.
yeah,
Let's
yeah.
ask any
There's so
question.
much, so many things that I want to talk about.
Yeah.
So
Everything is
from a
flowing
mental,
smoothly, so let's go.
my mind's going.
Take your time.
So from a mental health and well-being point of view, so what sort of things do you do um, to make sure that your mental health and well-being is looked after? And has that changed over time, or have you got some certain practices that you've always kept in place? Like what do you do to make sure that you're always on track?
Making sure I have balance and then I'm rooted in self-awareness. And I say self-awareness because I have to acknowledge when I'm having those bad days. And when I have those bad days, I lean on my wife.
Mhm.
And I think you need to know when you have those bad days and have somebody, have a support system around you that understand you better, especially if if you have a partner or if you're married. And the thing that helped me the most is when my wife, when we got married, she could kind of see, during our time of being with one another, sometimes I drift off because, trauma shows up at any time. It's unexpected. And we can just be sitting here, looking at a TV and all of a sudden you mad at the world. Don't even know what you're mad. The trauma has taken over you.
Yeah,
And and the thing that I respect the most about my wife is she was like, listen, we need to go to counseling. And I don't want to go to counseling for you. I want to go to but better understand you. So whenever you start having those moments, I know how to deal with it. And
yeah.
she has been my rock. And
Mm,
when I get into those low places and stuff like that, she can kind of see it. She understands. She get closer,
mm,
and she try to find me things to do to kind of offset that trauma from seeking in and bothering me. So
yeah,
just having self-awareness, um, knowing what tools you need to have in your toolbox to pull out to kind of offset the moments of that trauma taking over you.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Is there anything specific that really works for you? Like, do you breathe or do you go for a walk or stand outside? Like, is there anything particular that you can, like, you think, right, I've just got to do that because it's going to change my mental state?
Um, Me being around my dogs changed me. That's one of the things I go to. I go like, I love on all my dogs. I go love on them and they come love on me when I'm
Yeah,
down. Um, Finding something to do, and and that's the beauty of me being a licensed electrician and a contractor is me occupying my mind and
mm,
occupying my hands, kind of filter out that trauma.
yeah,
So those are the devices that I use to help me is keeping my hands busy. Let me
yeah,
go outside, let me go fix something. Let me grab that honeydew list. The honeydew list is be live long, right? So
yeah,
I had to like jump on that honeydew list a couple of weeks ago. All right, I need to go wire something out there, out there in the shed, or
yeah,
baby, you want me to go, stuck all this outside. So, find something to offset your pain. Don't let your trauma define you. You define the trauma. Don't you make sure you're in control of the trauma because if you let that trauma take over you, then it's going to lead to depression and then it's going to lead into devices that you don't want to get led into it's going to create a whole big old storm for you.
yeah,
So that's one of my devices. Instead of like pouring my pain into alcohol or drugs, I self-absorb my pain into my tools that
yeah,
help me, like talking to my wife, hanging out with my dogs, going
yeah,
somewhere, working with my hands, making something work.
Yeah.
That's my main tool, is staying
And
busy.
I really love that because I think it's really important for, a lot of people think, oh, I'm told to meditate or I'm told to do this. And it's like, no, work out what works well
For
for
you.
you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What is it that really can shift your mindset, that makes you feel calm, that
Mm-hmm.
takes you out of that brain, your brain is going to go, oh my gosh, I'm going to go down that track. Using a little bit of NLP, the neuro linguistic programming, how can you snap out of that and do something else? But I think that finding something that works for you, I think, is so
Mm-hmm.
important. Yeah,
Yes.
I love
Mm-hmm.
that. That's really beautiful. And so, what about grounding? Do you do anything like to really ground yourself, to focus yourself? Is there anything like walking barefoot on the grass or anything like that, or is that more than just working with your hands to sort of bring you back to present?
Well, to keep me grounded is always faith. Like I know, I just know, I don't care what nobody say. You can believe whatever you want to, but I know why I'm still grounded and still focused is because my fear of God, and I just say that wholeheartedly because I look at life on not just in the inside realm, on the outside realm too. I don't want to pass away one day and then it's the day of judgment here, and then like I can't get to where I'm going at because of one simple thing or something I continue to do over and over. So I that's the first thing I do. I got to acknowledge God, and I have to be aware of His actions if I do something dumb. Like
Mm-hmm.
maybe I could fool man, maybe I could fool woman, but I can't fool Him because He see all things. He omnipresent. So I
Yeah,
can't play games like that, especially when you
yeah,
commit to faith. You can't play games like that because we know better and we get punished in a different way versus someone that don't even acknowledge God and they want to do other things. So
yeah,
that's my ground. Like staying focused, praying to Him all day, every day, acknowledging Him, asking Him for guidance, asking Him for protection. Just know that He is the one that's opening these doors for me. He is the one that, when I was locked up, He was the one that I can call to when I needed Him the most. And He was the one that made all these amazing things happen to me. Not
yeah,
happen for me, right?
yeah,
But then I got to a point, I got to a point because I what really solidified my faith is getting that aha moment, like, okay, this horrific thing happened to me, right? Because God don't place no burden on no one that no he can't he don't place no burden on no one that they can bear, right?
yeah,
And He figured out that I was strong enough to carry that burden so I could tell my truth and help other male figures out in this world come to the light, be vulnerable, and let kids know that it's okay to be vulnerable, and you don't have to be, hide behind this strong mask of I can't do it. It's taboo if I talk about it. No, you have to open up so other people can see your heart, so they can open up to their kids one day. So maybe one day something like that happened to them, they could come tell you about it, and you can get them help. So
yeah,
I look at my whole transition in life is because it was God purpose for me to do this. So,
yes,
I could sit there and dwell on the past and be like, oh man, it's so horrific. Oh man, why this happened to me? Oh, I'm ready to give up. Nah, but it's a positive thing in it, because we
yeah,
all know we just it's just a soul within us. This body is just a frame. That soul is gonna go back to Him. The body is gonna go back to the earth.
yeah,
But what's your purpose in life? Once
mm,
I figure out that my purpose in life wasn't about me,
yeah.
I felt real dumb. Like it's not about you, Lawyer Johnson. Your whole life is not about you. I know that you think it's all about you, but it's not about you. God
Yeah,
just built you to carry out His word to help people. That's what it's all about. It's not about you. And
yeah.
once I realized that, Megan, I was like, okay, I get it.
Yeah, yeah.
I get
And I
it.
can completely relate to you because that's exactly how I feel as well. And you've given me an aha moment in the sense of when I said about the grounding and you said the thing that keeps you grounded is your faith. That's exactly the same as me. Like
Yeah.
I'm grounded in that faith. I have that inner trust that I'll always be looked after. I'm always protected. Both my parents have passed away and I'm very connected to them, and I know my mum and dad are always looking after me.
Yeah.
And I
Always,
know
yeah.
that God and Creator, everybody, I've got this big support system around me, and
Yes,
that
yes.
knowing that, having that inner trust that I'm always going to be okay is
Mm-hmm.
just a non-negotiable for me.
Yeah. Man,
Beautiful.
that's powerful when you it takes the fear of death out the way. Like
Yeah,
when you're not scared of death. You're like, if death come, cool.
yeah,
But I'm not worried about the death. I'm just worried about what's on the other side, and that's God. That's how I move in my life. So what? You can't scare me with no death.
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really beautiful. I love that. Now, I would love to start to let's start to talk about the book. But
Okay.
before we do that, I'd like to take a break and hear from our sponsors. So we're going to take a break, and then we'll come back and talk about the book, because I'm really curious to understand what the process is, what about writing a book and all of these things. So
Yes.
yeah, we'll take a break, and then we'll be back in a couple of minutes.
All right.
Thank you. Welcome back to the show, Lawyer. Thank you for sticking around.
Yes. No
So
problem.
let's talk about the book. So you've published a book called "My Pain Is My Identity," and so it's a memoir, and it talks about the journey that you've been on, and the work that you've done, and the healing that you've done, and all of the inner work through your journey. And how was it writing this book? Was it healing? Was it cathartic? Like, what was the process in getting all the words down, and just going through that whole process?
Oh, the process was emotional.
Mm,
Because you have to relive every scene in the book. The book is very raw and honest. I didn't leave any details out. Um, because you kind of feel shameful, like a lot of things that you have done in your past, like selling drugs and all of that. In certain moments of the book, you'll read that. Um, Very emotional. The
mm,
process of that book was very emotional. It was so emotional that it has taken me over like 5 years to write it.
mm,
And because the beginning of the book talk about what happened to me, like me,
mhm,
being this go lucky kid, having this amazing mother, and how she treated her kids, and would spoil us with snacks and toys, and me being a big Jackson 5 and Michael Jackson fan, and at that age your mind is just so open to the world. You don't even know what trauma is. You don't even know
mm,
what betrayal is. You
mm,
just free hearted, and relieve it no reliving the moment of someone conning me to help him to move some furniture in his basement and offer me some cookies. Um, then you're going down in the basement and you find out that the whole thing is a trick to sexually abuse you. So you got to go back to that moment because
Yeah.
that's a big part of the book. Turning your pain into identity. So
Yep.
the whole process of writing that book has been emotional. Some of it is funny, but I can relive those moments, of me being incarcerated, me having those act outs because of that trauma. Because when you're dealing with trauma as a little kid, you don't know how to sit down and talk to someone about
Yeah.
your problem. Only thing you know how to do is just vent it, and that
Mm.
vent come out in anger and frustration, and sometimes that can boil over into fighting someone and being aggressive. So
Mm.
it was difficult to
Mm.
write that book, but seeing the response that I'm getting from the book, I am very happy that I wrote it that way. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that congratulations for having
Thank
the
you.
courage to do that, because it wouldn't be easy, I could imagine.
Hmm.
And but I think that as you said before, that you feel like, and I love that your t-shirt it says, "I'm here because God said so."
That's
I
right.
just
Here
love
because
that.
God says so. Yes.
Yeah. And so and so I think that when you have that realization and that aha moment, which is what you did, you've got no choice but to be doing these things and taking this action so that you can help others. Because when you go through trauma and when these unfathomable things happen to you as a child, you always think that you're the only one, like no one's going
Hmm.
to understand. Am I imagining this? Did I make this up? All of those sort of things. And so by you sharing your story, I think it just empowers people to
Yes.
know that they're not on their own, and that there is support out there.
Yes.
Yeah, really beautiful, really beautiful. And so, have you, with all of the wisdom now that you've learned from writing the book, do you think there will be another one coming, like in relation to
Yes.
next phase of your life, or?
Yeah, I'm gonna write a help guide. I'm already in the process of writing a help guide, from the model of the my pain is my identity,
Yeah.
and then I'm gonna write two more books. I already have the title, but I don't believe in like putting one feet before the other. So I'm just
Yeah.
gonna promote, market, do book festivals, podcasts. I'm gonna
Yeah.
push this. My pain is my identity as far as I can push it, and
Yeah.
then once I build up that fan base, then I can drop that next book.
Yeah.
And
Great
yeah,
plan. And
yeah,
I've put the QR code there for people to purchase your book. So, oh, great! I look forward to the next one. That's
yeah.
fantastic.
Next time I'll be coming over there to Australia to do the
Yes,
video, do the interview in person.
yes, absolutely. I love that idea.
Yes.
I love that idea. So, what advice, if you had a version of you coming to you and saying, can you mentor me? This is what I want to do. What advice would you start to give them to encourage them to follow their passion and purpose?
Mm, you talking about like if they follow in the same footsteps of me, like being a victim of
Could be, yeah, yeah.
trust the process. That's what I would tell them. Trust the
Mm,
process on what you want to do, commit to it wholeheartedly, and have those conversations with God.
mm,
Have those deep conversations with God. I would tell them to be firm in your conviction. Don't sway. If this is something you really want to do, you're gonna have. It's gonna be, it's gonna be a long road, and the road is gonna be bumpy because you can't ask God for something, and then he's going and then and then when he start making way for you to get to where you need to go at, you start complaining about it because you got to understand he gonna get rid of everything that's in your way once you fully convict,
yeah,
once you fully lock yourself down onto what you want to do, and you tell God wholeheartedly that is what you want to do. He's gonna go to work. As long as he see in your heart that you really 100% committed on what you want to do, so when you see all these friends that say they were your friends start dropping off, and you don't get phone calls anymore. You got to be cool with that. And when
Yeah.
you when certain family members you thought that was real close to you, and they not there for you, you have to get used to that. You know,
Yeah.
you know, if he break you down, like if your foundation is up here and you talking about you want to go here, when he break crumble that whole foundation down to the bottom and start building you up, you have to be cool with all that. That's what I would
Mm.
tell you. You got to be, listen, don't tell God you want this, and then when he start working, you start complaining. No, you're gonna
Yeah.
have to put your clothes on. You're gonna have to put your rain suit on. You're gonna have to get your umbrella, because it's gonna be a lot of things that's gonna come your way. It's gonna rain, it's gonna storm, it's gonna do a lot of things, but I guarantee you, once you stand firm in your convictions and you push through it, when you get to the end, you're gonna be like, oh, I know why he did all those things, because I asked him to help me get to where I'm at right now. But he had to move certain people out of my way. He had to move a lot of distractions out of my way. He had to
Yeah.
break down a weak foundation so you can build it up strong, and so you can stand firm on it, so you'll be able to receive the blessings that you're going to receive. That's what I would tell the individual
Uh,
that asks me
oh,
for some advice.
that is really beautiful. I love that. And one of the things that really stuck out for me there, what you were talking about, was, often when we're going to make a change in our life, and I do this with my coaching clients, I talk to them
Mhm.
about who's in your inner circle. Who are the couple of people there that you really trust, that they will not just be a yes, Megan, to everything, they'll challenge me, but a couple of people that I can really trust, that I can say, this is what I'm thinking of doing. Because if you tell 100 people, oh, this is what I'm going to do, then you're going to get 100 different opinions on people who really don't care, but they
Yeah,
just think
yeah.
that they've got to give you the opinion. And then, and then your
Yeah.
confidence starts to wane, and you start to think, oh my gosh, should I really be doing this? And so I think that being quiet and just keep going and forging ahead and
Hmm.
trusting,
Yeah.
having your faith and knowing that this path is for you, I think is such an important piece of wisdom that you've just shared for
Hmm.
everybody.
And I tell you this, you when you connect to the God, you know when you're doing the right thing, because you start seeing things opening up for you. Like you be like, most people it'll take them like 2 years to reach somebody. You start reaching people in like a month or so, or two. You get a response from people. You'll know, because the feeling is right. When the feeling is doesn't feel right, you know you're not supposed to be going down that
Yeah,
lane. And that's why I don't let people, sway my opinion. I don't even ask people for their opinion anymore, because I like, this is what God wants me to do. I
yeah,
don't care what you say. This is what I'm doing. If you here, you here. If you're not here, cool. But this is what God wants me to do. This is my purpose. If you're gonna ride or you're not gonna ride, either way, I'm moving within my purpose, because
yeah,
God says so. And that's how you have to be. If you want to get to where you want to go at, and you want to lock in, and you just want to put your faith 100% in God, that's the mindset you're gonna have to have.
yeah.
That's your mindset.
Yeah, yeah. And it can be hard, right? I mean, it can
Yeah, it
be
can be hard.
lonely at times. You can start to really doubt what you're doing and thinking. And I also think too that when I find that when I start to change things and people start to fall away,
Hmm.
um, sometimes I feel really sad about it, but then I think, good, this is reaffirming to me that I'm still a human being. Because if I was like, yeah, whatever, whatever, then I think, well, am I losing
Yeah.
my touch with reality?
No, no.
We're humans, right? We're still going to feel emotional,
You
but
know,
I think that you've got to still accept that, okay, that person obviously wasn't aligned with me anymore.
yeah,
They're not on my journey.
yeah. You don't want to jump out of an airplane with a parachute with somebody attached to you and they cutting holes in it. You don't want to do that.
No, you
You want
don't.
a smooth landing. Forget that. You try to all of y'all try to get down. Yeah, all of y'all try to get down to the ground safe, but they so mad at you because of your success. They sitting there taking a box cutter, cutting holes in the parachute.
Yeah,
No, you have to leave them off. Leave them where they supposed
yeah,
to be at. Don't feel
yeah.
sorry for them.
Yeah. And often I find that from a reflective point of view, that people who are angry at you or don't like the changes that you're making, it's just because that I often think it's because they may be that they're jealous of you, that you're actually taking the action and you're making the changes. You've got the courage and they don't have the courage yet to be able to do that. So
Yeah,
then their response is going to be anger or defiance or those sort of things. Yeah.
Yeah,
Because they're
always.
looking at you thinking, I wish I could do that, but I can't. Yeah. So one of my usual questions is, has your pursuit of your passion and purpose changed over time? So would you say, because you've obviously got a very successful business that you work in, and but then you're a speaker, you're an author, you're a mentor. Would you say that you've got two passions and purposes in your life? Like, do you think that there's a dual purpose to why you're here?
To as far as the entrepreneur side,
Yeah.
I think this is what I think. I think the farther you go into your life, there has to be like taglines during your whole process of your life to make your story amazing. Because one thing people don't want to um they don't want to be not interested in a good story. So like me becoming an entrepreneur, that's a tagline. Me,
Mhm.
electrician, that's a tagline. Me becoming an author, that's a tagline. Me becoming a motivational speaker, that's a tagline. Me being incarcerated, that's a tagline. It's
Yeah.
all these taglines and hashtags leading up to your greatness, right? So
Yep.
it's one can't come without the other.
Yeah.
If I can kind of put that out there, you have to have these successes to increase your story or your
Mhm.
storyline, right? So
Mm.
if I wasn't incarcerated, if I said, just say this, I want to be a motivational speaker, but I don't have all the accolades that you just, that you just explained to them. People be like, "Oh, he's just a motivational speaker." Okay, what are you gonna tell me something that intrigues me that make me want to hire you to become a motivational
Yeah.
speaker? Then
Yeah.
your response is like, oh, I don't really have none. I just want to be a motivational speaker because I want to,
Yeah.
right? But
Yeah.
when you look at all my accolades and all these taglines, oh, he was molested, he was sexually abused as a kid. He got kicked out of school. He went to prison. He got his electrical wiring certificate.
Mm.
He took human resources classes. He worked for a Fortune 500 company. He learned how to become an electrician. He opened his contracting company. He became an electrician, opened his electrical service company. He took his pain and turned it into a purpose. He put it into a book. Now he's a motivational speaker. Now he has this platform called Motivational Wings, and he's teaching people how to deal with their pain and how to find tools or how to offset their trauma. Now he's on a podcast with Megan North, and he got 1 million views, and now he's all over the world. Why he has that?
Yeah.
Check my taglines.
Yeah.
Just take
Yeah.
those taglines. So that's just a part of the journey. Me becoming an entrepreneur is a part of the journey. That's how God does it. He has to build you up
Yeah.
to get where you're going at. He has to build all these stepping blocks on top of stepping blocks for you to take off. And that's how I
Yeah.
look at that. Me becoming an entrepreneur is just a stepping block or a tagline for Arthur Lawyer Johnson.
Yeah.
Lawyer Johnson, the motivational speaker.
Yeah.
So one has to go with the
Yeah.
other. So the passion is the same. The passion is the same, but that's a part of the journey for me to get to where I'm going at within my purpose in life, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, some people are born with, right, I know that my purpose is this, and that's
Yes.
what they, from an early age, that's what they do. I think for people like us, we kind of go through life and you have experiences, and I feel like my purpose is still evolving.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know, like I'm deeply passionate about the work I do, and I hear it from you that you are too. But that
Mm-hmm.
whole purpose is still an evolution, and I love going through that process because then it's like, oh, I've just experienced that. That's going to add to why I've got,
Mm-hmm.
why I'm going to be doing the purpose that I'm ultimately going to fulfill.
Yeah.
I still don't know really what it is. I feel like it is at the moment, but maybe that will change in a few years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
As long as you just keep your keep conversing with God, keep your channels open. I like, and I'm being honest, Megan. I created a vision board years ago. And before I met my wife, I was dating these women that they was just giving me a headache, and I had to change. I had to change things up, and that's what my friend said. Like you if you continue to date the same women, you're gonna continue to get the same results. It's nothing changing. I had to lock in with them myself. I told myself, I went through a divorce, and I was sitting in my apartment. I was still hurt because uh, my kids hated me at the time because their mother and I got divorced, and I created me a vision board. I said my credit was bad, and I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna get me a house, but I said I'm gonna get me a house.
Yeah.
And a year later, I purchased me a home, and then I got on my vision board. I said, I'm not going to date any more women that's not successful. And I made my vision board clear. I said, I don't care if I had a black woman on one side and I had a white woman on the one side. I
Mhm.
said, I don't care which one it is. I need somebody successful. I just dated the successful black woman. That didn't work out. So the white woman came into my life. She was successful. My wife, before I even met her, I didn't even know that she was a dentist. I didn't know she had her own practice. I didn't know any of that, Megan.
Yeah.
Only thing I know is I had the Lawyer Johnson Talk radio show, and one of my friends, you probably see him on Netflix. On Netflix, his name is Nate Jackson. He's a good friend of mine. He was coming to Phoenix, Arizona. He reached out to me. He said, "Lawyer, I need to fill these seats in the House of Comedy out in Phoenix." I said, "Cool." So I reached out to everybody that was in my database at the time, and I reached out to my wife. This before we even started dating anyway. I'm like, my friend's coming out, here's a free ticket, you come. She came out to the show. She was with somebody. And she came out, oh, how you doing? Such and such and such and such. And that was it. I didn't think anything about it. Then
Yeah.
she asked me, could I bring her son, which is my stepson now, can I bring him on the show and do a show to raise money for their football team? I did that. And then she, I walked outside. She's in this brand new Escalade. I wasn't even thinking about her because I already said I'm gonna let God lead me. I don't want to be in no relationship. I don't care nothing about that. And then she gave me a nothing but bunt cake.
Oh,
Saying, said,
yeah.
thank you for doing this. So that's cool. Then she invited me to dinner. I didn't go for like 2 times. And I like, man, let me just go. Went out to the dinner. I pulls up. It's this huge house. I'm like, who lives here, right? Like I walk in there like what? I said, this is a huge house. The house is huge. Swimming pool in the back, basketball court back there. She has 2 cars that's paid for. Still, I'm not even stuck on that because I'm living within myself. I'm not getting
Yeah.
distracted anymore. I'm doing
Yeah.
what I want to do, right? So we eat, we have a great conversation. She and I were friends for like 6 months or 7 months before we started dating. And then all of a sudden kept inviting me over to the house and she cooked me dinner. And then I was walking outside one day and she like, no, lawyers, no, I know you don't want to date because you was hurting your past, but sometimes you gotta take a chance. I'm not gonna hurt you. And I took that chance. She and I been the next month, the March 11th, we'll be married 4 years.
Wow.
And I
That's
haven't
beautiful.
turned back, and she has been everything and more.
Yeah.
Like she has been there with me 100%.
Yeah.
So um like I was saying, you just have to believe, and you have to put your vision board, and you have to change things in your life to get to where you want to go at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, it comes back to that deep innate trust, right? That trust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
that belief in God. I'm telling you, I'm telling you, Megan, everything that I have put on my vision board, He has given to me. I told him on that vision board years ago, I wanted to be debt free. I became debt free. I had a student loan that was 29,000. That when I was in New York going to a trade school, they put me in that trade school. I didn't even have a GED, a high school diploma. And Obama
Mm.
came up with this plan that if somebody enrolled you in a trade school and you didn't have the proper certificate to take that trade school or the education, like a high school diploma or a GED, then your student loan or whatever that has to go away because it was under false pretense. Don't you know that I submitted my information to that and shown that I got my GED when I was incarcerated, and I submit that information to them? They wiped out that whole student loan,
Wow.
29,000. Yeah.
Wow.
And before my wife and I got married, I probably was like $30,000 in debt with, the IRS, because when I got divorced, I
Oh,
had two kids I had to take care of. The child support is ridiculous, but I didn't whine that one time because my belief in God. I said I'm not gonna whine. I'm not gonna get nobody the benefit to feel like they hurting me. I paid every piece of change that I had in my child support. I paid for all their help and everything. I went in debt for it because I had to go non-exempt. But I like, so what? And when I sold my house before I got married, I paid all that debt off, because I told my wife, I said, I'm not going to get married in debt. I said, that's
yeah,
not fair to you.
yeah,
So she like, well, so why would you sit over? We're going to get married. Why are we going to have two homes? I sold my home, the profits that I made off of it. I paid
yeah,
off all my debt. I bought her a nice ring. I took the majority of that money and I rolled it into my contracting business, and the rest is history. And that's
yeah.
all from my belief in God or what I had on my vision board. And my wife think it's crazy because she was like, I told her, listen, I told my wife, I showed my wife my vision board now. She like, yeah, that's crazy. And I told her, I said, I want an Amex card. I always say, I want me an American Express card. She like, I don't even know why you want that American Express card. You got to pay $600 a year just to have. I said, it doesn't matter. I said, because I said, I'm going to be the greatest inspirational speaker in the world. And when I start getting booked for those flights, I'm going to swipe that American Express card and I'm going to spend a certain amount of money a year. And while all the losers are sitting out there in the regular airport, I'm going to be in that lounge drinking sodas and looking at TV. Then she started laughing, right? So it's like, but Megan, that was on my vision board.
Yep. Hey, yep, that's what a vision board is all about, right? It's about that, visioning it.
Yeah, and I have it now. I have the platinum American
Lovely.
Express card.
I love it. I love it. So we actually only have a couple of minutes left.
That's cool.
Woo!
It was
So
a good interview.
it's been so good. I've loved it. So I'm going to ask you the same question that I ask all of my guests before we finish our conversation. So what is one lesson or truth that you've learned on your journey that you wish you had known earlier?
Mm. Say that again.
So what is one lesson or truth that you've learned on your journey that you wish you'd known earlier?
I think I spent too many years thinking that I had to be tough.
Mm,
I think I could have saved a lot of lives if I would have been vulnerable sooner.
yeah,
Um, because society look at vulnerability as a weakness when in
yeah.
all actuality it's a form of strength.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish I could have been more vulnerable to help more people and get this message out, and change people's lives.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
But then I guess that trust and that faith is that it was obviously meant to happen at this time and not
Yep.
earlier. So,
Yep. Yep.
yeah, it's that trusting. What a beautiful way to end our conversation. Thank you so much for sharing your story. I really feel grateful that I've had this time with you today.
Me as well. It was like,
And
you can tell when the energy is good because you just flow. So I
totally.
mean, I appreciate it, Megan. I love this interview. It's pretty
You
good.
you are you're such an inspiration, and I'm sure that
Appreciate it.
everyone that's watching will be inspired as well.
Make
So
sure you buy that book. Buy
yes,
that book. My pain with my
definitely.
energy.
Let me put it back up on the screen now. Oh, I've lost you. So I'd also like to thank all of my amazing and dedicated audience and supporters and guests. And again, thank you to all my sponsors. I hope you all have an amazing rest of the week, and I look forward to seeing you all next week.